Welcome to Critical Thinking. Today I will give you a course overview and navigation of Blackboard. We'll talk about discussion boards and assignment tips, and we'll talk about what is critical thinking. First off, course overview and navigation. You'll see here the first page that you will come to as a student in the classroom. You'll see announcements here. I encourage you to read all of the announcements listed. Right here on top you can see the announcement for the live lectures, and I will also post recordings and other relevant material for the live lectures. You can see my welcome letter as well, and other information that will be helpful for you, assignment tips, due dates, so on and so forth on the first announcements page. Now over here on the left we'll see the course navigation menu. I encourage you to go there. First go to Start here and you'll see a course checklist. This is just a quick checklist to help you get ready for the course. What do you need to do in the first week to become familiar with the format of the course? You can also click on Professor Profile to see a little bit more information about me. And then we have the welcome video, which you've probably already watched by now, as well as the transcript of what I say in the video. On the bottom, don't forget this Blackboard tutorial. That will give you tips on how to use Blackboard and submit assignments and look up feedback. Back over here on the left, below Start here, you'll see announcements, and that just brings you right back to the first page that you see when you log into the class. Next, you'll see syllabus and schedule over on the left. You'll want to take a little bit more in-depth look at this one. You'll see a quick description of how many credits in the textbook that's required, some course learning objectives. This is what we're after in this critical thinking course, right? We want to learn to recognize the traits of the fair-minded thinker, explain the concept of intellectual standards for thinking. All right, you'll see a basic grading rubric right here, as well as a list of all of the assignments for the course. Don't look too much in detail at this right here because you'll also see them over on the left menu. Below assignments, you'll see some resources. The CSU online library will be handy for you in all of your classes. Some other student learning resources, but you can also find the student learning resources over here on the left where it says student resources under resources. And then communication forums, which you can also find over here on the left, right? So underneath of syllabus and schedule, we have Unit 1, Unit 2, and the other units will become visible as the course goes along. There will be 8 units total. Let's skip down to communication forums. Just go ahead and ignore this live course chat because it will be more effective to just email me or to come to these live sessions on Collaborate. But you can click on discussion board forums and it will list all of the available forums so far, all the discussion boards, as well as Ask the Professor, which is a public forum for asking me questions. You can also just email me. And then Student Break Room. Student Break Room is just an open forum for you as students to talk to each other about anything that's not maybe directly related to the class or whatever you want to talk about. Also, the discussion board forums, there will be more of them as time goes on. Right now you can only see Unit 1 and Unit 2. So over on the left, this is the main thing that you'll be focusing your attention on. Go ahead and click on Unit 1. You'll see a brief unit introduction that I've written to introduce you to concepts and what's going to happen during this lesson. Also focus on attendance verification. That is a quick note just saying that you need to do something, whether it's a discussion board or assessment. You need to do something in the first week to verify that you're actually attending the class. Otherwise, you could be dropped. Unit 1 study guide. This is where you will find your lesson, things that you need to read, concepts you need to understand for Unit 1. Then you have the discussion board. Go ahead and click on that, but notice the due dates, right? Your first post will be due on Saturday and your second post will be due on Tuesday. There's also a grading rubric there that you should take a look at. So go to the discussion board and go ahead and click on the initial post that I have created, read the question, and then make your own reply. You should also reply to another student. Jumping back over to Unit 1, that'll be the basic format for every unit, and then you'll also have something else on the bottom, whether it's an assessment or an assignment. Go ahead and click on that assessment to take it if you want. You can click Begin, and there you will have the Unit 1 assessment. Or let's say for Unit 2, you will have an assignment. See, you click on Submit Unit 2 assignment, and you can go ahead and browse your computer and upload a file. Jumping back over to Unit 2, something else you should notice for the assignment is that there's a template. It says click here for the assignment template. And the template for Unit 2 assignment looks like this. Now scrolling back up, we have Unit 1, Unit 2, Communication Forums, and you can also click on Grades to see the status of all of your different assignments. You can see here that there's a little clock symbol next to Unit 1 assessment. That's because I opened it, but I have not yet completed it, and it needs grading. It will eventually need grading once I submit it. So it has not yet been graded. You'll see your running total there. It says running weighted total. Back over here on the left, you can click on My Library to find out information, some guides, databases, or ebooks, other helpful tools provided by the CSU library. Math and Writing Center will help you with your formatting and give you some contact information if you want additional tutoring for putting together papers. For the most part, in this class, you will follow the templates. Student Resources is an essential pit stop for you. This is your one-stop guide for everything navigating Blackboard or basic policies for grading. If you email me, I will probably refer you to the answers provided here in Student Resources. Last, you have Tools, which is not going to be particularly relevant for this class, but there are additional tools that you have here you can look at on your own. Next, let's look at discussion and assignment tips. So for the discussion board, each week you have one main post and one reply comment minimum due. You can post more than one reply, and that's a reply to another student. So make sure that you try to post on different days. Don't just get it all done in one go. Post on different days. So for your main response post, make it something like 250 or more words. That's about 2 to 3 paragraphs. I want to see that there's some thought and depth put into it. It's due by Saturday, midnight. That's Central Standard Time. Make sure to address all elements of the discussion question. Don't just ramble or tell a story without analysis. Focus and try to organize your thoughts, not just a stream of consciousness that's unorganized, sort of brainstorming, but go back through, reread what you've written, and try to make it organized. Focus more time on analyzing your life with critical thinking principles, right? Focus more time on that than on telling a story. Ask yourself this: how could you have responded to your situation better, right? Even if someone else was the problem. This is the main goal in this class, is self-assessment. We need to tell the essential details of the story, but then focus most of our effort on analyzing and self-reflection. Now, when you comment to a classmate, make it maybe 100 words or more. That's one, maybe 2 paragraphs. This is due Tuesday by midnight, Central Standard Time. Again, don't just repeat and reaffirm or rephrase what somebody has said, right? Contribute something new that progresses the conversation. Challenge each other to think critically, right? Be respectful as well. Now, that means that we need to not only be courteous towards other people, but that we need to take everything with a grain of salt, right? Don't take things personally. We're trying to help each other out. We need to be able to take some challenge and some criticism if possible, right? If you do get offended, then just don't respond. Just drop it. It'll be hard, but how many problems in life could we avoid if we just forgave and move on, right? So try to focus on that. Here's a quick look at the discussion board rubric. Over on the right, you see level 5 excellent. This is when you have an initial response and comments that are on time, and they advance the discussion topic and promote relevant and exceptionally clear, focused, and thought-provoking ideas, right? This is, you've really sat down and thought about it. You took your time, you didn't just do the minimum. Now, for assignments, general requirements, right, it's going to be due on Tuesday by midnight. Read all the study guide and lesson materials first before you attempt the assignment. Download the templates, right? Make sure to complete all columns and rows, every aspect of the template. Don't leave any parts blank. Use proper grammar, right? Practice professionalism, not social media. This is not your journal. This is not Twitter. This is practice for a professional degree. Follow APA formatting when possible, and that means also to format citations appropriately. If you use an outside source in researching your responses, be sure to cite it in the body of the paper and include it on the reference page. Right? When you submit your assignment, make sure to use one of these formats, a .doc or .pdf. That will make sure that I can read it and grade it. Otherwise, I may be contacting you to tell you to resubmit. And that's particularly troublesome if it's the last assignment, because you may get locked out of the course and be unable to submit again. Here's some tips. Use concepts from the lessons, right? Be accurate and thoughtful. If you just read all of the lessons in the study guide, then make sure to use those concepts and technical terms when you're writing your papers. Be accurate and thoughtful. Slow down. Really analyze. Try to learn something, because this class will be beneficial to you if you slow down and you really try to apply yourself. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it. Write with depth, details, and specifics, especially in your analysis, not just in recounting an event or a story, right? Mostly in your analysis, write depth, details, and specifics. Make sure to focus. Don't ramble. Make sure that your ideas are organized and they develop with a logical progression, and not just a bunch of random thoughts are written in any random order that they come to mind. Spend more time applying critical thinking terms in self-reflection and self-improvement than in narrating or complaining. Show hard work and not minimal work. Reread the instructions before submitting, right? So let's say you're about to upload your document. Make sure that you look at your completed document, reread everything, reread the instructions, and make sure that you covered every aspect. And then afterwards, make sure to read the grading feedback so you can improve for the next unit or even for your next class. See Student Resources document for instructions. Now let's take a brief look asking, what is critical thinking? Let's talk about some career relevancy. Honestly, this is just life relevancy. First, this is going to help you examine situations carefully. You can ask yourself, what is the real problem, right? It'll help you diagnose real problems at the workplace. What is the goal of this situation, this event? Let's say there's a problem that needs to be solved, right? What's your goal? It's also going to help you think for yourself. Will you go with the flow, right? Will you do what's always been done before? Will your opinion be formed by fads, trends, and culture? All right, some of that is not necessarily bad, so long as we do it on purpose and we know the reasons that we're doing something. Are we going to do things the same old way just because it's the same old way, just because it's easy? Or are we going to think outside the box, think for yourself? Maybe take a risk. This will also help you find real and creative solutions. We have confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when you enter a problem-solving situation and you want a certain thing to be true. So you only collect information that is going to confirm your already held opinion. Instead, we should put all our cards on the table and say, I'm going to follow the argument wherever it leads. I'm going to follow the evidence wherever it tells me to go, and make my ideas conform to reality instead of trying to make reality conform to my ideas, right? Will you persuade with manipulative emotional tactics or use reason, right? Will you give honest persuasion, to encourage other people to think for themselves and then you just give evidence, give reasons? Or are you going to try to manipulate with emotional tactics? Will you step back and think outside the box for new solutions? This could also help you do what's ethical. Will you be humble enough to toss out bad ideas for good ones, right? We cling to our cherished ideas with our pride, and when evidence shows that our idea is not the best, we get offended, we take things personally, and we're unwilling to change. Will you do what's right or what's convenient? Here's some examples of critical thinking steps. You could identify the problem, right? Someone is presenting me with an idea. Is it rational or not? And then we have some analysis. What is their bias or goal? What are they trying to get me to do? And then we brainstorm. Come up with several different possible solutions. What is my goal? Do their ideas line up with my goals? Are there other possible options, right? Besides their idea and besides my idea? What are all of the options? And then decide which solution fits the situation best. Are there good reasons their idea will accomplish my goals? What idea has the best reasons and solution? And then, of course, you take action. This is the whole point. Here's some characteristics of good critical thinkers. If you become a critical thinker, you will be a good listener. A critical thinker understands that respect does not equal acceptance or agreement, right? I can respect other people's different opinions without saying that I agree. I can still think someone is wrong and treat them respectfully. And this also means that we won't be stubborn. Genuinely listen to someone. Be open-minded that they might possibly be right. Remember that new and different ideas always sound unfamiliar. We have a natural allergy or resistance to ideas that are different than our own. But if we never change our minds, and we never have the humility to change our minds, then we will always be stuck in our old problems. Seriously consider new, unfamiliar, or strange ideas. A critical thinker will also be analytic, an independent thinker who investigates reasons for beliefs, able to spot bad arguments and knows that bad arguments might still have true conclusions, and knows that good arguments might still have false conclusions. It will help you be a critical thinker, always open-minded and able to reconsider ideas that are well-established, traditional, or even progressive and believed by everyone. Not stubborn, again. And a critical thinker thinks about new and creative solutions. Last, it can help you be moral, like we kind of mentioned before. Critical thinking can help you be humble enough to admit when you're wrong. And you should be honest and acknowledge truth wherever it's found, even in an opponent's words. And the critical thinker can receive constructive criticism without anger. Hopefully, the critical thinker has charity towards all and loves wisdom more than comfort, wealth, or control. Critical thinkers do not take disagreements personally when they're not intended to be, or get angry when challenged. Critical thinkers do not avoid disagreement out of fear of losing an argument, or neglect seriously considering unfamiliar ideas. Critical thinkers do not seek their own gain at another's expense, or pursue confirmation bias. Critical thinkers do not knowingly use logical fallacies as gimmicks to persuade or manipulate. They also don't censor, but encourage others to cultivate dialogue through critical thinking. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you practice these critical thinking skills.